Hello and welcome to yet another episode from Thinkshala. I am your host, Mansi. Thinkshala is a passionate initiative. The idea is to empower students individually to face the future. What we do is we do a lot of programs for schools and colleges. Our programs are mostly of soft skills, leadership programs, career counseling, training the teachers, training the trainers, and digital media initiatives, among a lot of other programs that we do. So we'll start this program by introducing ourselves. I think we'll start with Smita, please. Smita, can you hear us?
Yes,
Excellent.
I'm a management consultant and a trainer, but for Tikshala, I am a student.
Thank you and welcome, Smita. So that's Miss Smita Venkatesh, and we also have with us Prashant Venugopal. Prashant, can you hear us? Could you please introduce yourself?
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Prashant, communication scholar and a faculty of communication.
Wow. So those are two nice individuals that we have. So thank you so much. Firstly, thank you so much for the lovely responses. So many people have given for our previous video. Actually, that was the first episode. After watching the previous video, I think a couple of teachers came back to us with a few questions. Teachers who are associated with Thinkshala for about 2 years now, and they wanted to know how to keep a class or a session interesting. That's quite a challenge, actually. That's quite a challenge. And see, when I think of these questions that the teachers have actually asked us, I can think of those all those Bollywood movies. Like on one hand, we've got movies like Super 30, then there is Hitchki, there is Tare Zameen Par, Black, and Chak De India. See, these are things in various fields, but then they do represent that teacher-student relationship. Okay, on the other hand, you also have movies like Main Hoon Na, Mohabbatein, Munna Bhai MBBS. That's on a lighter note. So actually, we went back as a team and started discussing this, and we have arrived at about three or four things that are extremely important to engage a class, to keep that class together, to make it interesting. um, so today, what we thought was Prashant comes from a background where he's teaching the late teens or the people in their 20s. So basically, the college kids, the degree kids, and sometimes the postgraduate kids. And we've got Smita on the other hand, who's a trainer, and she is looking. I mean, she's a management consultant, so she trains people of different age group. So the question is, even though these are two different things that we're looking at, the ultimate idea is both of them are still training at the end of the day. So our questions, I mean, when we talked about it, the four things that we talked about, we'll come to it one by one. The first thing is engagement. So the first question that I want to ask Smita is, Smita, how do you make your sessions engaging?
Okay. That is one subject I think all teachers or trainers, whoever it is, will be wanting to know because yes, a student, whatever age, whatever background, uh, it's difficult to hold on to their attention and also to keep them alert and attentive. So I feel that one of the things what I use, and I have felt that have been to an extent or to a larger extent been successful, is using uh, uh, the real life scenarios, examples, to communicate whatever you're going to teach. It can be in the form of a precursor to the class, giving an incident which might have happened, and or it can be also your own experience which you might have seen. So as you mentioned, Mansi, I have a different kind of an audience here, where it is about these people, and many of them think that they already know. That is why they are in the job, they have been hired. So
So
what
true.
more is there
Very
that
true.
this trainer wants to teach us,
Right.
right? So sometimes it is a little difficult to engage that kind of a crowd. But I have always used this, whenever I'm teaching anything. Let us take one topic like leadership topics. So if we take leadership management, then there we would like to give some known leadership examples of known figures, or our own, and there are two ways to it. One is a well-known figure who's already a hero, a known hero kind of a thing. And there is one more, an unsung hero, which I would have encountered in an industry, and there is a difference when you use one is inspiring and other one is motivating. So this is one way I like to engage my class.
Fantastic. So, I mean, it's quite challenging that you're teaching people who always think that, I know, and so what is she going to come and teach? So, this is quite a challenge at the age group that you're talking about. But, Prashant, what are your challenges? How do you keep your class engaging?
Okay, Mansi, today, especially after COVID-19, we all talk a lot about virtual classes. Okay, but reality is that online classes is not new. I mean, we're doing it since a decade. So people practice virtual classes. There are many online courses which has been given away by different universities all over the globe. And we are quite passionate. When I really want to learn a skill, I'm very keen to enroll myself in one of the unique course which is available, which is not available in my institute. I just try to take up overseas, and I try to take a certification from them. So my curiosity is the first step where I look for to learn something new. But today, the major challenge is that majority of us try to replicate the classroom, the real classroom, and make it as a virtual classroom and say, okay, fine, whatever I used to do in a regular classroom, I'm trying to do it in a virtual classroom. So things are going smoothly. No, that's a wrong perception we all have. I'm supposed to come back and understand that, yeah, here, maybe even though our video conferencing facilities are quite unique, but still, am I really promising enough to engage all the students who are on my video conference? First thing, as a teacher, I'm supposed to introspect. Okay. Now there are various tools which is given away by our online tools also. For example, there are quiz questions which I can post in between the session, or else I can use the chat box to ask questions to the students, or else I can put across activities for the students to engage them. So these are the ways which I'm using to engage the students.
Prashant, are you there? Hello? Prashant?
How
Sorry,
am I
Prashant.
audible?
Yes, yes, now you are.
Okay, okay. I mean, how effectively I engage my students is what a teacher should look for. Today, just if I take out my subject matter and talk with my students, they would be really not interested, because I should forcefully make a student to come out of their bed, or else come out of their couch, which they are sitting in a corner and just muting and looking at a cartoon which is happening all around. So I should force them to involve in my activities what I'm trying to execute. So I would say that today, very interestingly, we have a lot of online tools which are freely available, where I can, tune a audio of a speaker, or else I can just have an audio visual aid to make students much more engaged. I can talk about a movie. I can play damsharas. I mean, it is all left to the creativity of a teacher, how she or he is willing to make this capture the mind of students who's in front of them.
Perfect. I think that's a fantastic way of putting this together. So, see, Prashant here is talking about quizzes, probably polls and questions that I can ask. That means that we're trying to make the class a little more engaging, right? You're talking about interactivity here. You're
Yes.
talking about one person talking to the other. So that brings us to the next point after engagement, as how do you keep it interactive? Okay, how do you interact with students or participate in this session? So Smita, tell me something. How do you actually interact with people during these sessions? How do you make it interactive? How do you make them talk? I mean, it's so difficult, right? Like there are different age groups that you deal with. So to just make them talk must be quite a challenge for you. Smita, I think you're on mute. Hello?
Okay. Yes, one of the ways I use is that it should not be a monotonous one. The class should be interactive, and for that, what I do is that break up the whole big topic into many parts, and at the end of each part, I also as a teacher would like to know how well was I communicating and how well it was received by them. Have they understood something or not? And of course, I also want to know if they have gone to sleep. So this to test all this, I just give them small exercises. It can be in the form of a multiple choice question or a scenario, and ask them their opinion and what would be the best answer. You know, these are some small things I use.
That's really nice. The way you put it, like, break it into subtopics. I think that's the key where, you're
Yes.
able to stop and talk to them, and then ask them instead of like waiting for the end of it to ask questions or,
Yes.
realize whether they've understood or
Because
not.
here the thing is that we get a chance to correct ourselves also, right? So it gives a, and also to they also will come out with, if they have not understood something, it is easy to correct them. And then instead of just going to the end of the class and asking, and then you feel that this person hasn't understood anything at all, right?
True, true. That's quite a time savior. And I think it's a fantastic way where you are able to say, give me a feedback. I think if the teachers can start with that puts both of
Yes.
us in the same platform as a student and teacher. And I think that
Yes.
is, increasing the comfort level.
Yes, this is one mistake I think I have seen. What happens in a college or a university level? I don't know. Prashant can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that there the teacher never ever asks the students, "Okay, am I fast, or are you able to understand me, or do you want me to change?" I don't know if the scenario has changed today, but in myself, when I went to college, no, it had not. And as I told you, I am always a perpetual student, so I go to university. But very very nicely, these professors, even without asking us, getting any feedback from us, have been able to engage us. So that way also. But taking feedback, because we have to understand that as a teacher, we are supplying something there. We are providing something, and our students happen to be our customer. So if you do not understand their satisfaction level and take a survey once in a while in between, then I think we cannot sell our teaching.
That is spoken like a true management consultant.
Yes.
Fantastic. I think that's a fantastic representation. Prashant, how do you keep your classes engaging? How do you keep it interactive? And you've spoken about how online classes are happening. How do you keep it interactive in the online field?
Okay. I mean, firstly, I agree with the ideas, the aspects which is put forward by Smita. But to add upon, firstly, I should forget that I'm a teacher, because I feel that all 40 or 50 who are on my call, okay, everybody has a point to discuss and share. Okay, if I just know that I'm a teacher, I'm the subject expert, and I'm going to discuss, that is not going to work virtually. Okay, where I should just ensure that everybody here, I mean, of course, we all know what we're going to talk for the day, and I should ensure that everybody and have an expression, and they're going to put forward their ideas and talk. When I ensure that everybody is coming forward to talk and discuss an idea, then obviously that particular session will be much more interactive. Okay, somewhere I personally feel that, where if you make your students to be more interactive and ask them to ask them to somewhere put more questions forward, at the same time ask them to raise their hand when they're really stuck with understanding a particular concept, obviously the interactiveness will be more. And moreover, I can just put forward, ask them to do discussions on the forum, or else I can ask a question and ask the different perspectives of them in real time scenario. Obviously, the
Oops, I think we lost Prashant. There's some network issues. Prashant, can you hear us? Okay, we've lost Prashant. Okay, so Smita, I think Prashant was talking about, he's talking about some kind of interactions. He's talking about that relationship where, he's talking about everybody being wanting to talk about themselves or the point that they have to make. See, what I see is when you want to engage students at this level, okay, this calls for nothing less than lots and lots of creativity. That uniqueness and that freshness needs to be there in every class, every moment. So how is that even possible? How do you make it, I mean, how do you make yourself creative enough for them to engage with you, to interact with you? So creativity, I think, is a big one of the highest priority. So how do you make it possible for yourself to be creative during such sessions?
Yes, one of the simplest method we all use is role playing. Give them scenarios and just say what would you do in a situation like this, and whatever we would have taught, that particular concept, use it for the scenario. So that way it becomes very engaging. So where there can be a little competition between, you can split them into groups and tell them that okay, now you you have
I think you went on mute. Could you please repeat the last sentence?
yes. Um, as I was mentioning, one of the best ways what we use is a role play. That is giving a scenario and splitting the the whole group into small groups or teams, and asking them to implement whatever they had learned, the concept, and solve the problem given. So that is one method what we all use, where we can equally engage them in a competitive manner. In the sense, when teams are formed, they are fighting each other, and I think it becomes a game there, isn't it? And anybody and everybody love games.
True.
So that is one way creatively, and also whatever you want to explain to them, is understood in an effective way.
Fantastic. I think role plays are amazing way to. I mean, there's so much enthusiasm, and then there is physical activity, and constantly they're thinking because we don't know what is the other person going to say, right? So
Yeah.
it's you make it, that's very creative actually. That's very creative, and you make the person think, so it's
Yeah.
easily understood. Um,
Very true.
so at that age group, probably role play makes a lot of sense. I mean, to interact, to engage with people, and as you said, they already come from a background where they say, "Yeah, I know," right? So at a student level, Prashant, are you there? Can you hear us? Prashant, are you there? Can you hear us? Hello? Okay, looks like there are some network issues for Prashant because I don't think he's able to
Am I
participate.
audible?
Oh, yes, you are. Yes, yes. So, Smita and
Crazy. I'm
myself,
back.
that's nice. That's nice. Welcome back. So, Smita and myself, we were discussing about creativity, one of the priorities of every teacher, every trainer. And she was talking about how role plays can be an excellent way of engaging people. So, Prashant, I mean, just getting back to the conversation that we were having before you dropped off. So, how do you make yourself creative every session, every class? Isn't that like a constant challenge as a teacher?
I agree with you, Mansi. Of course, it's really a challenge because, first of all, when there are certain subjects where I can add or I can involve a lot of activities, but there are hardcore theories. There are subjects which will involve a serious introspection or serious discussion. So I would say that I cannot maybe take the only the subject matter into the discussion or consideration. Beyond that, I would see the alternative ways. How do I just track them? How do I then keep them intact with the information what I'm sharing? So I can just break the sessions into different capsules. In between, I can just try to add some activities upon. Maybe imagine I'm going to talk about development communications. I would ask them to get in some case studies related to development communications, which has happened maybe during 1980s, 90s, 2000 or 2012 or 2020. So what happens is that when they try to do some research, okay, sir has given us an interesting area where I can focus upon this particular subject. So I would get an insight not just about our country. I would there'll be a global perspective which will be shared by different students, because 50 ideas, 50 mindsets when all those ideas are put on a particular frame. So we are mutually exchanging the information, because if I think myself as one among the learner, then obviously my learning capacity or my teaching capacity would be having two sides of a coin. I should look from a student perspective also, as a trainer perspective also. Maybe I would just ask them to get a picture which will talk about impact of development communications. Maybe when the session is on, immediately the screen can be shared by looking at the popular photographs which has successfully achieved a particular campaign. Or else I would ask them to get out a celebration or a victory of a particular campaign. So there are different scenarios, there are different case studies, or different ideas which can be put across in between the session when the talk is on. Again, it is left to an individual teacher how capable enough to apply their creative mind to make the session interactive.
Fantastic. I think those are two perspectives which are so different. You know, there's role play, and then one is depending on research and telling their own stories. But at the end of it, it's both storytelling. That's what I look at it as. Okay, and storytelling is a fantastic way to engage anybody, participants, students. I think that's a fantastic way of engagement. Uh,
Mansi,
when
to
it,
add a couple of points here.
yes, please.
See, today, I mean, very interestingly, internet has had given a lot of other opportunities than a regular way of training. Okay, today I can take a student for a museum virtually. I can just get a student to on a celebration mode virtually, or else even I can just take a student on a photography competition or a videography competition. I can just I mean, on the fun part aside, I can just put out a competition on TikTok also. See, it all left to a teacher how on what are the areas they are trying to encourage the students to come forward. And it is not always a subject matter. In my discussion, when I have my regular classes, there will be sometimes to exhibit the talent of a student. I can ask somebody to express their own talents on a call, or on a video conference. Obviously there will be many students where their hidden talents which they cannot express in a classroom, but they will be able to do it on a virtual class. So
True.
as a
Very true.
teacher, I should know, I should identify individually. I can give a cue, because the technology is so friendly that it will make me to individually give some insight or provoke somebody in the group to come forward to share their idea.
Wow. Passion is all over the place, isn't it? So I think being passionate as a trainer or a teacher is something that is inherent. Only then a teacher can become perfect, or can keep the class engaging. So I think at this time I want to recall. I remember that there was this um program called Weekend with Ramesh, and I think he was looking at talking to one of the professors. Okay, this happens, trust me, this happens everywhere but in urban areas. So there, the teacher, he's the principal of the school, and he says, in Kannada, he says, ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನಷ್ಟಾದ್ರೂ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತಾ? That is the first question you have to ask yourself. And I think that's a lovely way of putting it together. Like, how can you even think of loving your students or participants as much as you can love your own children? So that's what they've said, and this is the favorite part. This is my favorite part. I think that's something that moves me as a teacher, as a trainer. You are responsible for your students or your participants as a takeaway. Okay, they've come here to learn something, but are you responsible enough beyond just that curriculum? So this teacher and student relationship is something that's very, very important to me. That's my first priority, actually, always when I teach. So Smita, see, for Prashant and myself, probably it happens that we are with them over a period of time, like 2 months, 3 months. But for you, it's like on a session to session basis, and this relationship becomes so important during the session that it actually takes you to a different level. So how do you establish this kind of a relationship with your participants?
Yes, here typically, yes, as you said, that we meet as strangers, and to an extent, half a day or one day is not enough for you to establish a relationship with them. What I feel is that, and also you see here again, if it's a trainer or whatever kind of an audience you have in the classroom, it is student and teacher. So there is a big barrier between both of them, right? So to get out a lot of information, I always see this particular yeah, the process of teaching as more of sharing. I'm there to just share some of my experiences in that particular field or in that particular topic, and the audience there also may have come across similar, experiences. Now we have to both move towards each other and connect that to the topic we are discussing, right? It is just that, nothing more. Sometimes, when somebody mentions it, oh, it is like, oh yeah, I know this is I understand this. I have experienced this, that kind of a feeling. So, and one of the best things to break this ice, that okay, I am one of you here, and our session can fare well or it can be a success only when we both share with each other, right? uh, because in the industrial or in a different platform, an organizational platform, people there come for a with a different perspective. They have a problem there, a genuine industrial organizational problem, and that is a primary, that is a pretext for having that particular training session, right? So they are searching for an answer there, right? They actually they have the answer with them. They don't know it. So it is, as I said, it is sharing. I'm going to share an experience which is going to, you feel that yes, 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 I know this, I know. Now I understand the whole problem. It's as simple as that. And coming to the relationship part, to open up and share that experiences and their own issues. I feel that you just have to give a small sneak peek into that part of your side, which is which makes you more acceptable, rather, I would say. More like small things. It can be something about you. Okay, I like to watch Amitabh Bachchan movies. How many of you, or something like that, fan of some movie star, or I think very simple things like that. So I
Basically,
think this
something
this
in common, something that
and just
yeah.
find that connectivity, that's all. So it breaks the ice, and then it goes the flow, it is very energy is flowing from all ends, all sides.
True, true. Uh,
Yes.
but I'm sure it's quite challenging for that time period that you engage with them. It's very challenging to have that interpersonal relationship, to have that connectivity between the trainer and the participant. So Prashant, how do you make this possible? I think that for us as teachers, I think this is very important. How do you make this possible with your students?
Okay, Mansi, at college level, the scenario is completely different. I just want to put a small, I mean, once I was talking to one of my African student. So where she has a tendency of calling teachers, I mean, she used to call almost all the female faculty as mom. Okay, actually, I used to think it's a slang where maybe their language uh, they pronounce it as ma'am as mom. That is what I was supposed to think. Once I got a chance to talk to her, so I was asking, okay, why do you call all teachers as mom? She told me that, sir, I'm from a different land, and I'm here with teachers who's trying to mold me to be a good citizen for tomorrow, and I consider them as my mom because I have a very healthy relationship with my mother, and I feel that if I have the same bonding with all these teachers, they will make me much more better and they'll take care with much love. Oh, I was actually impressed. I was just thinking, wow, how students have their own unique perceptions, unique expectations beyond boundaries. They all are connected, not just as a student and teacher. Beyond that, they look for some kind of healthy relationship they want to build with a teacher. And moreover, I personally feel that somewhere we need to research cultures when we try to talk to students. I should have an idea what is that culture, what is their culture, what is their priority. Because at some extremes we will see students being very humble. Because I've seen students from Bhutan, students from Nepal, students from Afghan. They don't even walk in front of a student. Okay. At the same time, if you go for a different extreme, the students from UK or the students from Russia, their behavior with teacher is completely different. So I have seen students who will not even walk with me. I have seen students who will call me for a drink. So both the extremes, I'm supposed to introspect as a teacher. I should always understand that what is their expectation from a class. I should be ready to understand that. At the same time, I should take a feedback from them. I should understand their style, their language, our pronunciation is appropriate to them. There are various aspects we should look upon when I'm trying to talk to a class. See, because I'm saying that as a teacher, we feel that what I'm doing is right, but when I want to try to build a relationship, I want to just have a healthy boundary with a student. At the same time, what kind of stand I'm taking with my student, everything is important. It all depends upon how do I build my relationship.
Very, very true. I think that's so true. But I see one thing in common from both Smita and Prashant. Okay, one is speaking about target audience. One is talking about who's your audience, who's the participant. You should understand them. And then there's Prashant who's talking about, you should know your students' culture. This is total management theory. You should know your customers. You should know your people whom you're reaching out to. You should know the demographics and psychographics, right? So this is basic marketing. So I think this has been a very revealing 30 minutes of conversation that we have had so far. And I think these are key points that any teacher or a trainer should keep in mind. This is, oh wow, that's Prashant back on track. Finally, we got you on board, Prashant. Okay, so to quickly sum up what we have discussed so far, I think as a response to the kind of questions that teachers have asked us after looking at our previous video, we had discussion where we talked about four key points. One is engaging. How do we engage the session or the class? How do we make it interactive? How do we talk to people? How do we keep ourselves creative as teachers so that there's something always new, there's something always fresh every day? And the most important part of it is the student teacher relationship. And whether it is for a short time, you're taking workshops for 3 hours, 2 hours, or it's for that months that we teach as teachers, I think that bonding becomes extremely important. And that's the highlight, that's the priority, is what we've concluded on. So thank you so much, Smita, and thank you so much, Prashant, for being a part of this conversation. I think this was truly engaging for me, and I'm sure it's truly engaging for all the audience at Thingshala. Thanks for coming on board for this, and thanks for spending your time on this.
Thank you, Mansi, for asking us very apt and very interesting questions.
Thank you, Smita. Okay, so that was the team from Thingshala. That's Smita, Prashant, and myself. If you want to get in touch with us, if you have questions or you want to participate in any of these things, what you can do is you can get in touch with us on Thingshala, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. We are there on all these three platforms. You can also write to us on thingshala@gmail.com. With that, this is your host Mansi signing off. Thank you so much, Smita, and thank you, Prashant, for this. See you, bye bye,
Thank
and
you.
catch you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.